Ravens minicamp is underway, and one of the Ravens' newest offensive weapons, Odell Beckham Jr., making his debut for Baltimore. And this guy right here, Ravens head coach John Harbaugh, praising OBJ on his first day of mandatory minicamp, saying, "I love the guy, he's a pro." Our NFL insider Josina Andserson sat down with Coach Harbaugh at Ravens minicamp. Let's take a listen.
So we are standing by with the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, John Harbaugh. Thank you for joining me.
Great to be here with you, Josina.
So I was here at the start of mandatory camp yesterday, and one of the things that really stood out to me was just how verbal your new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, is, and just the overall energy that he had in interacting with players like Lamar on down. And then I was also hearing, some of the local reporters just kind of talk about the differences they see too with that in terms of years past. So I was just wondering how you would put in your own words as far as what are the main things that stand out to you about the impressions and the impact that Monken has had on your team so far.
Right. Well, it's definitely his personality. I think that's something he's kind of known for. He has an outgoing personality. He's a talker for sure. And whether it's a one-on-one conversation or whether it's talking to the offense in a meeting, talking to the team in a meeting, or talking to the offense on the field, that's just who he is. I think it does lend itself to communication. He's encouraging our guys to communicate. That's important for us. It always has been. And he models that every single day.
And then one thing with Lamar Jackson that I was reading too was just the potential for him to have more control of the offense at the line of scrimmage. And I was curious your thoughts on that and how much more would we anticipate that, and also just your philosophy on the potential for really growing that in practice situations, non-real game situations, as far as improving that with him in practice too.
No doubt. I mean, that's something you have to work on every single day. Whatever you're going to do, offensively, defensively, special teams, you have to work on it. So it's not, I don't know if it's more or less or whatever. It's definitely different. It's definitely going to be a different lens. He's going to have to kind of focus it in a different way because the offense is built differently. But the things we say, how we say them, what he's going to be looking for, how it's going to rule out, all that stuff, it's going to be a new offense. And Lamar is in the process of learning it just like all the rest of the players are. Tyler and everybody else are doing a great job.
Another philosophy question here. Obviously, yesterday you talked about Rashad Bateman and the cortisone shot that he had in the foot to the surgically repaired Liz Frank injury that he had last year, and obviously not, participating. So I'm just curious overall, given something like that, and even as I think of an example like Greg Olsen and how he kind of intermittently did with that, what's your philosophy when it comes to active rest versus no rest and limited drills, particularly as we're looking ahead to players being on an extended vacation?
No question. That's something you have to think about all the time. Each injury is different. Liz Frank, per se, is a different injury. The screws go in, the heel, it heals, and then the screws come out, and sometimes you have to deal with the screw coming out and how that heals. And that was really the issue with him. It's just a matter of putting some cortisone in there and helping that healing process when the screw came out. So it's not a structural issue at all. It is an issue of just comfort and making sure it's right for training camp.
And does a situation like that even make you kind of more keep your eyes peeled, just from a durability standpoint? We've talked about that even from last year with just, free agent options that are out there, just with the potential lingering concern.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. I mean, injury potential or thinking about guys being healthy, you think about it every day in everything you do, including evaluation of players, guys in the draft and veterans out there. I mean, that's definitely high on the priority list.
And then the last thing here, too, with a guy like J.K. Dobbins, obviously he wasn't at practice yesterday, saw the report about the soft tissue injury. I'm curious overall to how you manage players, too, particularly those that, come into a contractual situation, and you're trying to manage them wanting, more production because of a contractual situation, or just even wanting that from an overall rhythm standpoint. But you got to balance the team, too, because you got other, players on the depth chart too.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody's got things that are important to them, and everybody's in a different circumstance and situation. Also, though, this is a team game. It's a team game. It always has been, always will be. It's a team sport. Team comes first. And you try to blend those things together because we need our guys playing their best. So, JK, anybody else, we want those guys to do well contractually. And if they do well in football, they're going to do well contractually. So it just kind of all fits together pretty well.
Well, listen, I appreciate your time. I said we just have a few questions here. I know you have to get back to the second day of mandatory camp. So for John Harbaugh, I'm Josina Andserson. We appreciate your time, Coach.
Thanks, Josina.
All right, thank you. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Josina. And right now you're looking at the Ravens' upcoming schedule for this season. They have home matchups in weeks 1 and 3 against the Texans and the Colts, an AFC North rival pretty early on with the Bengals in week 2 in Cincinnati, and then their other AFC North opponents, the Browns and the Steelers, in weeks 4 and 5.